Our story begins under unfamiliar stars as the first human footsteps echo out of Africa into a vast, unknown world. At dawn, a small clan pauses on a ridge, their breath white in the chill. For them, survival is more than a sharpened stone. It is a shared story, a language that builds trust, a kinship that defines who belongs. These are the threads that will one day be braided into villages and civilizations. Centuries later, in the fertile marshes between two great rivers, a revolution takes root in the mud. Farmers learn to coax grain from the earth, and the smoke from their clay hearths signals a new way of life. This abundance, this surplus, changes everything. Granaries filled with grain demand a way to be counted. Tally marks become writing, and from the written word comes the law, the state, and the city. As cities swell into empires across Afro-Eurasia and the Americas, new questions arise in their crowded squares. How should we be governed? From this debate, philosophy is born. While early science sought to measure the heavens, new forms of power were tested on earth: kings, councils, and the rule of law. Along dusty roads and river highways, ideas traveled with goods, leaving a vast, interconnected world of human thought. At the same time, new systems of belief offered answers to life's oldest questions. In quiet monasteries and bustling temples, traditions we know as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Judaism took root, creating communities of faith that transcended bloodlines. These beliefs traveled the same routes as spices and silk, carried by caravan and monsoon winds, slowly stitching the old world together. But the world was about to become both larger and smaller than ever imagined. A cold dawn, the 15th century. On the deck of a creaking caravan, a descendant of our first travelers grips the rail, staring not at a familiar ridge, but at a restless, unknown ocean. The voyages that followed connected continents in what we now call the Columbian Exchange, a transfer not only of maize and potatoes, but of devastating diseases. New global commerce bound the world in chains of silver and sugar, but it was a bond forged by colonization and the deep scars of enslaved labor. Amidst this upheaval, a new authority emerged: reason. The telescope and the scientific method challenged old dogmas, asking not who to believe, but what could be proven. This sparked revolutions in thought, igniting ideals of universal rights that would flare from America and France to the shores of Haiti, where the enslaved claimed their own liberty. Then came steam, and the world accelerated. Factory engines throbbed with a new rhythm. Iron railways stitched continents together, pulling even the most distant lives into a global web of finance. But this new intimacy bred new rivalries. Empires clashed on a scale never before seen, unleashing the mechanized slaughter of 2 world wars and the horror of genocide. From those ashes, a new era began, defined by the tense standoff of the Cold War and the slow, often painful process of decolonization. Today, we live within the echoes of all that has come before. We navigate a world shaped by digital networks, mass migration, and the lingering shadows of old conflicts. We face challenges our ancestors could never have conceived, from the power of artificial intelligence to the very definition of community in a virtual age. The ancient threads of our story, of migration, settlement, belief, and conflict, are still being woven. The fundamental questions remain the same: who belongs, who holds power, and where do we go from here?